Welcome to Covers His Puck Props with 14-year NHL vet Carlo Colaiacovo. Yuck, the boys are ice cold. Ice
Yuck.
cold. Yeah, talk about being ice cold. Time to simplify things. I mean, we got a big slate. We've been looking at small slate games, but still, no excuse. Let's get right to it. Odds coming via Sports Interaction. LA, and we're going to pick on a couple games. We're going to pick on the two teams who just finished a home-and-home series and then have to play right after it. So we start off Kings, Flyers. This over 6.5, minus 122. I mean, Buffalo, Philly yesterday was at 7. This game, I think, should be the same on the back-to-back. It should be more expensive for the over. They emptied the tank. I think Philly emptied the tank last night. You mentioned it. It was a revenge game after losing the first game of the home and home. They were up 3-0 in the first period. They sat back, and now they get to see Cal Pedersen. Cal Pedersen's coming up from AHL. What's the affiliate in
Lehigh Valley?
Yeah, the Phantoms. We just looked at his numbers. 886. Like near 4 goals against average in 4 games in the AHL. He gets to face his former team in the Kings. I just like goals here. I love the Kings right now. Quentin Byfield looks good on that top line too. There's 2 things I need to get out of here. First, who has the advantage here in seeing a former goalie, especially one that's kind of struggling to see NHL reps of late? And does both of these schedule spots possibly lead to a less intense game non-conference wise, especially with the Kings? They get 3 days off and then they're in Vegas. So
could be a look ahead game for them.
Right? Like I don't see the compete level very high in this game.
Yeah, it's tough to say when you're talking about a team that's coached by John Tortorella whether or not you're going to see a compete level. But it has all the smells of being a non-compete game, just basically on everything you just ironed out with what LA's schedule is looking like after this. And, their trip has gotten off to a good start so far. They went into Toronto and won. They went into Ottawa and won. This could be one of those trap games, as they say in the NFL, look-ahead game. This could be a look-ahead game for LA, which probably could, equal the amount of goals that we score and see the amount of goals scored in this game, where there isn't much attention to detail. And LA is a team that can pile up the net. And, Philly, if you're not playing on the top of your game, they're clearly a team that can score too. I mean, you saw them pile up the net last night. The night before against Buffalo, they put up 40 shots and didn't, see the same success. So, the over seems like a pretty valuable player.
Yeah, so we are on Philadelphia third stringer. And like I said, Vegas. They're going to Vegas. Sorry, the Kings are going to Vegas. They don't play there until Wednesday night. That is a long time between now and
I would think that this is part of the schedule where maybe they'll plan a rookie party. I mean, a couple of days off. Vegas is probably the place to do it. It could be one of those games where the players on the Kings skate up to the referees and say, "Hey, let's keep the clocks running, keep the whistles away. Let's get this thing rolling here, and so we can get out of here."
Yeah, I don't think the boys are staying over in Philadelphia tonight.
No, definitely not. The sports science team can go take a hike tonight. Yeah, we're not worried about getting our sleep tonight. Just get us to Vegas, please.
Another thing I like in here, not going to play, but just something that I'm leaning on, Quentin Byfield for a power play point, plus 625. He's got power play points in back-to-back games, second unit, but they split things pretty evenly there in LA. And then we head over Buffalo, Toronto. I'm hitting John Tavares over 3.5 shots on goal, even money. It's we've cashed it before. It's a safe thing. We're also targeting Buffalo, who was in that home-and-home series versus Philadelphia. They're on the back end of that. It's a crap schedule spot for Buffalo. Toronto's just been getting nuked in the media hard.
Have they ever?
Yeah. You might have something like to use one of your terms. They've been getting pee whacked certainly by the media for being a 4-ply club with no aggression, and they're going to do that thing that they always do. They're going to come out and look like a good regular season hockey team, maybe blow the doors off a tired Buffalo team who wasn't looking at this game and who honestly on the year hasn't looked fantastic. And it's just something we see from John Tavares in games like this where the noise gets loud, where he kind of has to, I don't know, wear the C, in which he does. He has at least 3 shots in all but 1 games this year, so the floor is safe. He's hit this at a 50% rate, but Buffalo also lost tough D-man Matthias Samuelsson, which is big news. Guy was playing 26 minutes, might be a little more room in front of the net. Coming from a man who has had some serious takes, much like the rest of Leafs Nation, Carlo, what are you expecting tonight from the Leafs? Is this the same thing we always see? Is this a very good schedule spot? And how does a captain need to respond in a situation like this, as in John Tavares?
Well, I just got home from my son's hockey game where he scored his first goal of the season, and I'm reading a lot of
sniped, wheeling, and Sally Butt.
Oh
right?
yeah, he did it all. And I'm reading some of the quotes that are coming out of Leafs Morning Skate, and one of them is from Sheldon Keefe, addressing the team's lack of physical response to the whole Brad Marchand, scenario there. And in quotes, he says he hated everything about it. He wishes his team would have had more of a response, but in the moment, he probably thinks that the players didn't really know what happened. You hear players like Ryan Reeves and John Tavares quoted by saying that they've addressed whatever criticism that they've been receiving over the last 48 hours with the group, and they plan to respond, and they plan to make sure that never happens again. Well, sometimes you need to be embarrassed in the public to actually get an understanding of the importance of what it is and how much it means to stick up for your teammates and show that you care about each other. And clearly that was an embarrassing moment for everybody in the Maple Leafs the other night, where they were, caught in a situation where no hockey player wants to be caught. And I've always said the biggest insult that a hockey player could face in hockey is being called soft. Is something that made my blood boil. I would imagine it's something that should make a lot of other hockey players' blood boil. It's just it's something that really hits a nerve. You don't want to be called soft as a hockey player. And clearly, as a team for the Maple Leafs, they've earned that label because of what transpired last game. And I expect a response. And if the response is going to come, it has to start with their leader who wears the C. The same way people say about, that Marchand situation should have been addressed by Ryan Reeves. What's Ryan Reeves going to do, right? Ryan Reeves is going to go out there. Brad Marchand's not going to fight him. No. At the end of the day, this isn't about fighting and dropping the gloves. It's about standing up for your teammate and standing up for yourself as a team, to the team that's pushing you around and to the player that takes a liberty on one of your players. And so for John Tavares, I've always said it, the best examples of teams playing a certain way is when they watch your leaders do it. That's how leaders do. They lead and other people follow. And for Tavares, I think this is a great opportunity to show what type of leader he is tonight.
So in Leafs fashion, they're just going to look good versus a tired team on the back end of a back-to-back and sit there and pat themselves on the back after a 6-1 win, possibly, and be like,
or in Leafs fashion, they find a way to make the game harder for themselves.
Right? Yeah, and they eke out a tough win, and they're like, oh yeah, we toughed it out. We got it, when they should have probably cleaned house in that game. But let's go with the captain, over 3.5 shots on goal, even money in a game that should have a lot of eyes, and see what kind of team they are when they respond. And then if we can't hit this, then this is truly a cooler streak of cooler streaks. San Jose team total under 2.5, -120. This should literally be an auto bet going forward at this price, and I expect it to kind of shorten up. I was surprised to see it at this number.
Could we eventually see San Jose at 1.5 for goals scored?
Yeah, well, you can obviously bet the 1.5, which I believe is like plus 180, but you're going to be paying some juice very soon on the under 2.5. That's for sure. 10 games, 0 wins. They've scored more than 2 goals just once. It was a loss. The 4-3 loss, I believe, to Carolina. And they potted 1 or fewer goals in 9 games. So they scored 3-1 and 0-1 in all other 9 games. Couture, Barabanov still out. You were talking about this the last time we hit the under in a cash. You moved the win total to 5. last time we talked about it. I doubt there's been any adjustment, honestly. But have you ever been part of something like this, like
No.
professionally, or is this is just laughable?
I haven't, and I'm glad I haven't, and I feel sorry for anybody that has, because you play the game of hockey because it's a great game to play, and you do it because you love it and you want to have as much fun doing it. It can't be much fun at all to be playing on San Jose right now. They have a chance to go down in history as one of the worst teams that ever assembled and ever competed in a season. And I don't understand the logic behind, I can understand teams wanting to rebuild and wanting to, go through a phase of, patience and restocking the cupboard and stuff like that, and finding a group of young players that you can build a core around and develop into, a team that ultimately has success. But why does it have to be this bad and this ugly when you do it? I mean, you can still do it and be competitive doing it. To me, San Jose, it's ugly to watch. It's even more ugly for anybody that's a part of it. I just don't see how it gets better when you look at the talent on their team. I mean, as much as you're looking at the under team total, to bet against San Jose is probably almost a guaranteed bet right now. But as we're saying this, I mean, they're playing Pittsburgh tonight. Like, Pittsburgh's a team right now that could easily be the team we're laughing at after tonight, is a team that lost to San Jose because of how bad things have been going for them. I know it's the return of Erik Karlsson, the team the two teams that made that big trade in the offseason. But until it happens, I mean, there's nothing for us to feel confident going the other way. So let's ride it while it's still a possibility and still something that is trendy.
San Jose, team total under 2.5, minus 120. Not staying up to watch it probably if I'm not out and about. But hopefully it's one of those bathroom breaks in the middle of the night where you're like, oh, good, a 4-1 Pittsburgh win, as it should be. But as the way things going, could be a 6-0 San Jose victory. Just an absolute lash out. But those are the three plays we're on today. Keeping it tight, but looking at some serious angles, especially the home and the back-to-back with Philadelphia and Buffalo here. Kings, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, over 6.5, minus 120. I expect that to close at 7. I wouldn't be surprised if it did close at 7. Buffalo, Toronto, John Tavares in a statement game for Toronto with the captain, over 3.5 shots on goal, even money. And then San Jose, team total under 2.5, minus 120. Let's turn that into some possible NFL money. Bertuzzi laughing is a brutal look from the chat. Let's get it, gang. Bertuzzi laughing. Obviously, he didn't want to hurt his buddy. That part bothers me too, right? Like,
but it's not a matter of even hurting your buddy. It's just standing up for your teammates and acting like you care about what happened. I mean,
it's such a bad look across the board.
You can get into an FU match with a buddy on the ice. I mean, I had best friends that I played against too, and there was always an agreement between the two that, hey man, we're best friends off the ice, but on the ice anything goes, man. Like, you're competitors.
The worst part of that is that Bertuzzi was demoted to the bottom 6 and was playing like 11 and finished with like 11 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like, he was talked down to by Keefe about his role, and then he had a chance to kind of get back into good graces and pulled that crap. So we'll see.
We'll see what type of response there is tonight.
Statement game, boys will be hot on the power play, obviously. Oh god. Yeah, it's such fun being in Leafs Nation. All right, pal. Appreciate it. Thanks to producer Mick. I'm Josh Ingles. He's Carlo Colaiacovo. We'll be back Wednesday with more NHL puck props brought to you by Covers of Sports Interaction. See you around. Lead us out, pal.
Ciao, everybody. Have a good weekend.